It's always thrilling. We get to talk about what I would deem the most exciting and thrilling sport of the Olympics. And even more exciting because we don't often get to talk to athletes from skeleton. And I think it's been maybe a couple of years at least, but we're creating good company here. We've had John Montgomery on, we've had Jackie Naricott. Now I get to talk to somebody who has not even been to the Olympics yet, technically, but already has accomplishments that John Montgomery and Jackie Naricott wish they could have. Today we have Hallie Clarke on. Hallie, welcome to Off the Podium.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
It's exciting because this is the one sport that I think anybody who watches will say, what possesses somebody to do this? How does somebody even fathom it? This is difficult to watch. I mean, I know it's one of the few sports my wife probably be like, I can't watch it right now. Tell me when it's over. Let me know if we want anything. For you, what possessed you to actually try skeleton in the first place?
I like to say that there's a fine line between bravery and stupidity. And I was 14 when I started, so that line was very blurred.
Oh yeah.
I kind of just randomly found it. I was walking, my family had just moved to Calgary, and at the time the Calgary track was still open. And I was walking at Winsport, the Canadian Olympic Park, and they had a free learn to push sign. And I looked at my mom and I was like, what is skeleton? Like, do you know what this is? No idea. So I looked it up and then I was like, can I try it? And she goes, well, it's free, so sure. And then I kind of ended up just loving it. And I went to high school across from where the track was, and it worked out really nicely.
I've been to the Winsport Park a couple times, and I know when I've been there in the past, I always see that you can actually book, to go down on a bobsled or something like that. I don't know if skeleton was an option when I was there last or whatever, but I'm not the type of person who usually gets freaked out with something like, oh, this is beyond me. Like I would be a little bit more of a daredevil, but even I'm like, I don't know about this. Like, how fast is it going to go? Like, even at the age of 14, like, do they give you a heads up being like, okay, you're going to be going approximately this speed, make sure you're holding on or something like that?
Yeah, but I had just moved from the US and they told me in kilometers. So in my head, no
Oh,
idea. No idea. But yeah, I actually crashed my very first run down.
oh.
I completely lost the sled. We have a video of it because I stopped without the sled right in front of my dad who was videoing. And then my mom has a video of the sled going by without me on it. So I learned pretty quick what this sport was all about.
And yet you wanted to do it again? Like, your parents, are they trying to show you the video after that? Like, do you want to see what it looked like from the other side? Are you sure you want to do this?
They, I don't think that they showed me the video right away, but they were like, why don't we go home? We'll think about it, maybe come back
Mm.
tomorrow. Like, let's take a second here. And I was so adamant that I needed to go back and do it right then. Because I knew that like if I didn't do it right then, that I wasn't gonna try it again.
Mm.
Because I was freaked out. Like I had no idea what happened. Everyone was asking me, like, oh, like what corner? I have no idea. It was my first time down too. So I don't really know what possessed me to go back up because I got so beat up that weekend. But now I'm glad I did. It it worked out, but yeah, no, it was a rough start.
For anybody who is going back there, I mean, it's kind of crazy that there is an Olympic sport that is, looks this dangerous that a person could walk in off the street and do it. But do they make you sign like, six different liability forms, waivers? We're not responsible for any head trauma.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you sign your life away when you
Yeah.
start. But they work you up the track. Like you don't immediately go from the very top, so they kind of
Mm.
slowly work you up like from lower starts
Yeah.
so that you don't. The goal is for you not to flip and crash,
Yeah,
but
obviously.
defied all odds.
Now at this point, you're 14. Were you thinking of this just in terms of this is a fun activity, or were you thinking this is a sport I want to try to get into and compete in?
I wanted to compete. I grew up as a figure skater, and my dream was always to go to the Olympics. Like my family watches the Olympics every time it's on. So that was always the dream. But then I stopped skating when I was like 12. Did some school sports, and then I was really trying to find something that I could maybe keep that dream alive in, and
Mhm.
I found this.
I'm trying to do the math here because I mean one of the things we're going to talk about is that what you've accomplished at such a young age. I mean you're what, 21 now, 2021.
21, yeah.
So we're going back. This is pretty close to, pandemic right now. So
Real.
2018. Um, and Canada has, I always looked at it, Canada had a great history in this sport, or in a lot of sliding sports. I mentioned John
Yeah.
Montgomery, I mean, Duff Gibson, Melissa Hollingsworth. I'm a huge Melissa Hollingsworth fan. I mean, you're just hearing about this for the first time in 2018. So, I mean, you're not even familiar with what the history was with Canada in this sport. I mean, as you start to get into it, I mean, are you having to do like crash courses on like, what are the odds of making a junior team, a national team?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of finding stuff out as I went. But at the time that I started, it was really hard to, well, it's still really hard to make, but it was in a different way. As a young athlete, they really weren't looking for younger athletes at the time. So trying to make standards that, people in their mid 20s are making
Mm,
at 14, really hard.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, we've really transitioned in our sport now. We're now recruiting anywhere from 14 to like 20 years old, but until last year, I was still the youngest on the team, even after like 6 years. So big change, but yeah, no, it definitely was not a clear path when I started.
Yeah, like I remember when we had John Montgomery on it, I mean, that might have been 2018, 2019. I mean, it's been a long time. And even at the time, he was saying like skeleton's one of those sports that people typically do get into when they're older because it usually is a lot of athletes saying, I'm not going to make it in this sport. I want to try this out. I mean, I think he was 22 or something like that when he
Mhm.
started. So, I mean, it is unusual. I mean, one of the, things that's most interesting about you is that you not just competed, but you were able to win world championships in both the I don't know if you call it seniors, the world championship and the junior world championships within the same year, technically, or I guess back to back
Yeah.
years, but within 12 months.
I did it a bit backwards.
And you
Yeah.
did it backwards. That's the crazy thing. So, I mean,
Yeah.
like, is it just that this is so unusual that, or I guess newer that you have a lot of these young athletes that, you maybe have certain opportunities, if you're performing well in this, we're like, well, let's give it a shot because we want to try to see what it would be like if we develop these athletes at a younger age?
I think it was it was kind of fought for a while. Like we have a completely new federation. Like the people that both coaches and administration are completely new than when I started. When I started, it was not as welcomed.
Yeah.
Like I still had to make every standard that someone that was older did. Like I fought for my spot, maybe more so than some other people because they didn't know what to do with me
Hmm.
because I was so much younger. So that's really cool to see the shift in our program now of like now seeing that it is possible, not just with me, but like the last Olympic champ in our sport, Hannah Niza,
Yeah.
was I think she was 21 when she won. So still on that younger end, and they're kind of now starting to see that it's possible, and not as scared of it.
Yeah.
So it's really cool to see them recruiting more.
And it's I guess fairly new-ish as an Olympic sport. If you're looking at the amount of Olympics, I mean, obviously it
Yeah.
well, it predates your birth when it came back, but
Yeah.
like when I'm mentioning like John Montgomery and Melissa Hollingsworth and people like that, I mean, you probably weren't even at the age where you're watching the Olympics at that point. You obviously didn't know skeleton, but uh, have you had the ability to interact with any of these athletes who were coming up during those early days and get any pointers from them or any coaching tips?
Um, no, not the Canadians that you are talking about. I haven't met anyone that went to the Olympics prior to 2014. I have like some of my coaches that slid for different countries, early 2000s, early 2010s. They're now coaching our program, but no, I haven't. I've briefly chatted on Instagram with John, and that's about it. So, yeah.
You can see he's literally right
Yo,
behind me
no,
right
I
now.
saw
So
that. I was gonna comment before you
yeah,
brought him up. I was like, oh, nice
yeah,
poster.
I've got enough space here that like once you compete in Milan, you can duplicate that pose, commission a painting of similar size to be made. I've got the space there for it. I'm just waiting for the next person.
Perfect.
I mean, you did mention that you were living in the United States at a time, and I think one of the interesting things is that I found that you actually competed for the United States and for Canada. I mean, there's been a lot of news and everything over the last couple of years about the sliding sports and everything here in Canada and all that. I mean, we don't have to go into all the details of that. What I'm more curious about is just what the criteria is for athletes who do compete, because we see that like Kaylee Humphreys has been able to transition and compete in the United States, and I think that's because her husband was American or something like that. I mean,
Yeah.
do you have U.S. citizenship, or does it come down to you live there for long enough?
So I was trying to get US citizenship at the time. My brother's American, so he could like kind of sign on my behalf.
Mm.
Um, because of COVID, there was a really big backlog of that, unfortunately. So it was going to take longer than 4 years, which I didn't know before I went down. And then plus my personal coach was named head coach of Canada, so
Ah.
it made a lot of sense to go down at the time, and they were amazing. I don't have anything bad to say about my experience there. But just, with the goal being the Olympics and then finding out that I wasn't going to be able to get citizenship in time, plus the program in Canada completely changing, it just made sense to come back.
Obviously, there's certain countries which are so dominant, and when you do have these athletes to choose where to compete, maybe it's because I can gain a spot here, or sometimes it's the other thing. It's like, well, it's more competitive there. You're not presented with the option to compete for Latvia or Germany or Great Britain. I mean, Canada and U.S., are they both fairly similar as far as like the competitiveness of them? Did that factor into your decisions at all?
No, I don't think so. They're pretty close, in competitiveness on a world stage, especially on the women's side. So it wasn't really a part of that decision making. It was more just like what environment at the time, would be best for me. And at the time that I left Canada, the US was definitely the more positive environment
Hmm.
to go to. I mean, very happy to say now that Canada is like a million times better than it was, and really proud to be a part of the organization now. But yeah, it was more just what made sense for me at the time. And competitiveness of country wasn't one of the main things I was looking at.
I mean, now you're the one who's setting the standard of competitiveness, whether you're in America or in Canada. So I guess you're the gold standard now. I want to go back to what we were talking about with the juniors and the world championships and kind of doing it backwards. Because, I mean, I don't know enough of the
Yeah.
rules. I think everybody just assumes because you typically will see people who are competing on a junior circuit and then they move up, and it varies in ages sometimes. But what are the rules behind that? Like, I would have thought that you basically have to do one or the other. If you're competing on juniors, they're going to say, we're going to, it's like if you're in the AHL and they say, we're going to call you up to the
Yeah.
NHL, but it doesn't work like that, I'm assuming.
No, it doesn't. So juniors is only based on age. It doesn't based on any other qualification, like where you race or like what circuit you race. So it's just as long as you're under 23. And they also have a under 20 division. So I had done that when I was with the US, so it would have been 18. And then the following year, just a lot of times juniors are at the same time as the World Cup. So it's really hard to do both, especially now that like I'm doing all of the World Cups. It's
Yeah.
tough to kind of make that decision. But yeah, last year we were lucky that it made sense to go, and I had won world championships in the spring of the year before, and because juniors always happens before senior world championships, because you can qualify spots from junior world championships to a senior world championships, they happen before. So I was still holding the senior title by the time juniors came around the following year, and then
I,
won those before.
does that make you the first ever double world champion in the history of skeleton?
Um, I th I think, but I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I've read enough things online
yeah.
that's kind of that's your claim to fame, but I mean,
I know for sure I was the first to hold both at the same time.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think I was the first to have both, but before, I'm pretty sure Suzanne Krayer for Germany has held both, just not at the same time.
Do you have any poses of yourself with like both trophies or
No.
whatever? You got to do that. Just something to put down in the history books. This is why, because if nobody else has ever done it, you could be the first to actually have that pose, and
That's
that will
sweet.
be the
Yeah.
painting that goes on the wall behind me.
Yeah, I'll get that right over to you.
Now, since you said it is afterwards, I mean, did you have to make a decision, or was it a difficult decision to say, I want to continue to compete on both World Cup and junior circuit at the same time? Was it about this will get me more experience, or were you just sort of committed at this point? You're like, you know what? I've started, I'm going to finish it.
Um, I mean, I really like doing juniors again as someone that was always so much younger than everyone
Hmm.
else. That time of when everyone is this like around the same age as you, going through the same like life things makes a really big difference. So it was always something that when I could, I would try and push for to get the opportunity to do.
Yeah.
'Cause it's just the one race. So whether it's during a World Cup or not, it was something that I really wanted to do. And I still have, I won't be doing them this year, but I still have one more year of eligibility next year. So I will be trying to do that because it's an amazing experience. And it's really exciting for our team now that we have so many younger athletes,
Yeah.
that I'm hoping, it'll be a big group that goes, which would be kind of the first time in Canadian history that we would have that big of a team going to a juniors.
You mentioned a team. I mean, we're maybe jumping a bit ahead, but we'll talk more about it later on. You know, Milan coming up. There is the mixed team event as well. I mean, uh, do you get to compete in these things? I haven't seen if the World Cup is actually holding these mixed events or anything.
They do,
So
yeah.
you've
They
been
have the
able to
last
trial
few
it.
years. I have. I have. They actually started doing it at juniors too. But yeah, I did it the last. We didn't have any men at World Championships this past year to do it with, but the 2 years before that, I did like a few World Cup mixed team events and World Championships, and it's really fun. It is really different.
Yeah.
The start is a reaction start, so it kind of like flashes down. You get like five flashes, and then all of a sudden it'll go green,
Hmm.
and it's anywhere from I think they said a tenth of a second to like a full second of when that green will go from the last red. And then the time starts like as soon as you move your sled. And a lot of times, if you move it too soon, you get what is the word for it? Sorry, I'm
Like
completely blanking.
penalized or?
Yeah, you get like a half a second added onto your time, which
Oh
is
yeah.
devastating.
So a tenth of a
But
second can cost you a half a second, and in
yeah.
skeleton, I mean that's an eternity, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like people are off the podium by like hundreds, like
Hmm.
1/100th of a second. Yeah, so it's really exciting to watch, really tricky because it's
Yeah.
if you have a slower start, it's because the start isn't from the first timing eye, it's from the moment you move your sled, then that's even more exaggerated. And then kind of opposite, if you're quicker, you can get that much further ahead, but then you get, a half a second penalty, then kiss the race goodbye.
Do you usually know well enough in advance if you're going to be competing in a mixed event, or is it kind of a thing that's thrown together at the last minute?
No, usually because it kind of depends. You have to have men. and women both in that World Cup. If there's a mixed team event going on after. So usually you know ahead of time. You have to have names and like teams submitted ahead of time.
Mhm.
So I don't think that we'll be participating in any World Cup team events. But hopefully we'll see where the Olympics, how that works out for the men's side. But yeah.
Well, we before we even had the announcement that Moguls was going to have the dual moguls. I used to every time we interviewed a moguls athlete, I'd always ask them like, okay, would you rather have dual moguls or would you rather have a mixed event, right? So
Mhm.
I kind of there's certain sports where I'm like, a mixed event actually seems like it would be fun, and then you kind of get the question, it's like, well, who would your ideal teammate be? I mean, you don't have to throw names out, but do you have like a dream team in your head? Are you sometimes watching the guys and being like, oh, you know what? If I'm gonna get paired up, I hope it's not with him, or I hope it is with him.
Well, so the pairings are all always within your country.
Hmm.
So that's sometimes it is fun to look at other teams and you're like, imagine
Yeah.
this. Like how good this one would be, or even just looking and you're like, who like not for like myself, like who together would be absolutely unstoppable. We do have those conversations.
Yeah. A-
Yeah.
And it,
I do think it'd be fun if you could slide with other countries for it, but I understand why they don't.
it's not something where it's like, the last kid picked a dodgeball,
Yeah.
like, but I'm assuming that, not everybody's going to get to compete in the mixed event as well when you get to the Olympics.
Yeah. Even the bigger countries like say Germany or Great Britain, like a lot of times you can only have a max, even if you have three men, three women, a lot of times you can only have max of two mixed teams.
Hmm.
So even, some of the best in the world, if within their team they're not, ranked top two at that time, then they might not be in it either.
At the time people are going to be listening to this, they'll probably know the answer to this question. But I mean, at the time we're recording this, do you know for a fact whether you've qualified for Milan yet, or is it still some of this up in the air?
No, so we can't qualify until year of. So starting, I think our first World Cup is the mid to end of November. And we have 7 World Cups that count for points. So however you finish, is the amount of points you get, and it's based on international rank.
Hmm.
So we really won't know until mid-January.
Oh, okay. Are you feeling good at this point, though? I mean, you've got the two trophies in each hand. One interesting thing I actually wanted to ask you about is that I read that you were an alternate for the last Olympics for Beijing, which again, I don't even necessarily think about that as a thing that like, but obviously they would have to have, if somebody is sick at the last minute. I mean, what's the process of that? Like, do you sit at home and you just wait on the call, or do you get to
Pretty
fly out
much.
there? Yeah.
No, I didn't get to fly out there. But it was especially relevant because of COVID.
Hmm.
Because you're seeing in a lot of different sports, people getting COVID and then someone else having to fly in. So I was at home and I was ranked third, but we only had two
Hmm.
Olympic spots. So yeah, I was just kind of waiting. I did all of the same like COVID testing, all of the same onboarding stuff, just in case something happened. But it's one of those things, like as much as you want to go to the Olympics, you don't wish for your teammate to
Yeah.
get sick or hurt. So it was one of those like I would love to go, but at that point, you don't wish bad upon anyone, especially in foreign countries.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And then
but yeah,
travel
I
on
would.
top of that. I mean,
Oh
you'd be
yeah.
getting the call and be thinking, "Oh, I'm going to have to be on flights for the next, 16 hours and then be competing 4 hours later."
Yeah, it would be crazy. It would have
Yeah.
been crazy. But yeah, I was only 17 at the time, so that Olympic year itself was absolutely chaotic. I think all Olympic years are chaotic just because
Hmm.
they're so condensed. Um, but yeah, it was a great experience for me, and I don't know how the Olympics would have gone had I went just because I was so young and like I hadn't even had a World Cup
Hmm.
opportunity yet. So yeah, I think for 17-year-old me, this worked out, but
And this is still several years, just to remind people, before you're even at the World Championships. I mean, to talk about that a little bit, when you were in the World Championships, was that 2 years ago now, almost 2 years by the time people are listening to this. Were you? I don't know whether anybody would talk about the media, whether you were on the radar, but in your mind, were you like, I'm on the radar here? I'm somebody who could be on the podium.
Yeah, but I feel like every race, if you're competitive, like you have to go in thinking you can win that race, whether or not that's realistic, like that's just the mindset that you have to have.
Hmm.
So I definitely did, but like my goal for that World Championships, it was my second World Championships and I came 10th the year before. So I was like, you know what? If I can improve on that, top eight, I'd be so excited. And then I was sitting in first after the first day. And I was like, I don't know what's happening right now. Everyone talked about being like, I kind of shocked everyone. And it was like, I shocked myself too. Like, please acknowledge that I did not think this was going to happen either. Because it's our World Cups are normally two races or like two runs down the track.
Hmm.
World Championships is four runs over two
Yeah.
days. So that overnight, I don't think I slept. Like I was sitting in first and I was so shocked and confused. Like all the adrenaline I don't think left my body that whole 24 hours. Like it was crazy. But yeah, I had a tough year leading up to that. So my belief that I could be on the podium maybe wasn't as strong as it had been in the past, but I had had World Cup podiums, the year before. So it's not that it couldn't happen. It just, in my mind, the odds weren't super high.
And it is interesting, like you're saying, that you're doubling the amount of runs you're doing, and you have to wait that day in between. I mean,
Yeah.
not to dwell on doubt or anything, but in my mind, what I would be thinking is, day one, wow, if this was a World Cup, I'd be sitting number one right now. Something's going to
Yeah.
happen tomorrow. Like, is that part of what's contributing to you not sleeping that night, thinking like, oh, this could end up being like, if only this had been a World Cup and I performed like this.
I did think about that. But also like I had a different perspective on that because I was like, you know what, whatever happens, like in my mind, I just won my first World Cup.
Yeah.
It's like whatever happens, this was already like more than what I had set out for myself to achieve. So it was
Mhm.
like in my head, I already accomplished more than what I wanted to. So it was really I just had fun. That second day was probably the least stressed I was that entire World Championships, which is crazy.
No
But
sleep means less stress, right?
yeah, it was you would think that it'd be the opposite, but I think I was the calmest out of that whole race. That last run when I was tied for first. Not because I like had so much confidence that I was like, there's no way I can mess this up. I was like, no, there's a strong chance I can. But I was just so in the moment and I genuinely was enjoying myself that I was like, it doesn't even matter what happens from here. Like, this was a crazy
Yeah.
experience. Yeah.
It does get crazier because if people aren't familiar with it, watch your World Cup, your final run. This is what I remember, going back a couple of years ago, is that you start seeing all over social media, all over CBC news and stuff like this, almost less interest in the fact that Canada just won the World Championship and more about how you won the World Championship, which was
Oh,
a
yeah.
spectacular tumble crash. I don't know what you want to call it, slide. I mean, and literally right at the finish line. I mean,
Yeah.
it looks, this is why people say, skeleton is like the terrifying sport to watch and everything, but the control that you still have even in falling over, and crashing across the finish line is crazy. But when something like that happens, you mentioned like, half a second could be everything. And just even a little skid sometimes is all it takes to lose. And here you are at the finish line. In that brief moment, was your mind operating quickly enough to think, no, that's it. I can't believe I did this. And then this is how it ends.
I actually did it on purpose.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah. So the like timing the finish is exactly at the end of that corner. So it's actually faster if you don't steer the end of that corner and just let whatever happen happen. So we jokingly call it the victory roll. So I had done that the run before too. Not as bad as that one, but I was on my side the third run as well. But yeah, I did that on purpose because I was like, if there's a time not to steer and to be on my back, it would be for a title. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and then you become like the viral meme of like this is how we win the world championships.
Yeah. No, like this sport is so crazy. You have to be sliding 120 plus kilometers an hour and on your back.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And what a way to win the world championship too. I mean, everybody knows cool runnings. I mean, maybe your generation doesn't know cool runnings as well as my generation does, but we know that crash could lead to something heroic. But here, you actually get to do a bit of a crash and not just finish, but come out world champion. When you cross that, are you knowing at that point, okay, my time was good enough? Can you sort of feel it or sense in your head, this is how fast I was going, this is how much I needed?
Usually, like it's when you're on the sled, even though you're going that fast, everything kind of slows down. So when you have enough experience, like every little mistake, you kind of have an idea of how much that's going to cost
Mm.
you. And then maybe you get riskier as you go down the track, depending on how many mistakes you've made. I knew that I had a pretty good run, but like obviously, I'm going against the current Olympic champ on her home track,
Yeah.
so nothing was guaranteed. But I knew I had a decent run, but I feel like you never know. Until I mean at that point I was on my back until I had flipped back around and looked at the time.
Were you feeling it, or is it something where it kicked in like a day later? You're like, oh, it was definitely the adrenaline, but I'm feeling this now.
Yeah. I we did the team event the next day and I ended up straining my adductor because I like my body was just done. Like
Mm.
I had nothing left to give. So trying to push, it was only one more run the following day and my body just like fell apart. Like we were like wrapping my legs so that I could walk up the stairs to the podium for award ceremony. Like I had bruises along my back. I was so beat up, but yeah, adrenaline still kind of carried me probably until I got home. Like it
Yeah.
was yeah, I was so in shock.
That's when the Advil and the Epsom salts and everything are required once you get off the plane.
100%, yeah.
Well, it's an interesting question. This isn't even something I've even thought to ask somebody before, but like there's so much traveling involved in sports like this. And when it is a physical sport, I mean, you're not just on a sled, like you're hitting corners and stuff like that. And even just the strain of just, trying to get that fast start and everything. And then you're cramped on whether it be a car or a bus or a train or a plane. I mean, are those the most painful moments? Are those the things you're like, oh, can we just delay this one more day?
Yeah, the traveling, I say I love traveling. I hate travel days. Travel days are the worst. It's our equipment is like kind of a pain to pack and to fly with just because it's no one knows what a skeleton sled is. So
Yeah.
when you have this giant box and they're like, what is this? And then we travel a lot of times with our runners in a gun case, which is our own fault. We're making our lives complicated, but it's just perfect size. Yeah, it's all heavy and it's big. It's a pain, but we get there. But yeah, no, it's my body hurts a lot of times more from sitting on a plane or crammed in a car
Mm.
on travel days than it does from hitting corners down a track.
That's right there why I don't think I could ever be an Olympic athlete because even driving, like if I have to drive 2 hours, I'm like, we're gonna stop an hour in so I could stretch my legs. Like I don't want to be seated for that long. Sitting for this interview, I'm like, do you mind if I stand up for a little bit here?
Go for it. Yeah, no, I understand. It's a tough one. You kind of get used to it, but at the same time, you just kind of get used to how your body reacts and what you need to do to get it back to
Mm.
normal. But there's some times that I'm like, I don't think that I can work out right now because I'm gonna hurt myself like after a travel day.
Really quickly, you mentioned like carrying your own equipment and everything, which probably also is something that we don't often think about. You're hauling this stuff around. We've asked this to different bobsled athletes before. Your sled, do you name it? Is it something like where you name people name their cars or anything like that?
I haven't named mine, but I joke the reason you're supposed to become one with your sled. So I joke that it is just an extension of me. So why would I name it something else? It is Hallie.
Oh, there you go. I was going to suggest, if not, we have I guess, a friend, a co-host from another podcast we do that often becomes the butt of our jokes on this, which is Noah Groves. So my goal is I want to get somebody to name their sled Noah. Can we name the case that you carry your shoes in Noah Groves?
Sure.
There we go. I'm going to let Noah Groves know. He will now tune into this episode and he will be watching the Olympics and maybe he'll see you, arriving at the venue and everything.
Yeah, he'll know. Oh, that bag is named Noah
That's
Gross.
Noah Groves. I just want to go back to the equipment again for a second, because one thing we've discovered through this show is that, depending on the sport you're in, there's all different levels of support or funding that athletes get. I mean, in skeleton, how much is provided for you, or how much do you have to kind of raise the funds yourself to get the sled, to get the Noah Groves case or stuff like that?
So I love that that's what we're going with now. When I first started, we had to buy all of our own sleds. Now they're kind of a part of our team fees. But we do individually get runners and our shoes and helmet. That's all on us individually, but the sled itself now is provided by the Federation, which is really nice because they're upwards of like 10 grand. So when I first started, like we had to figure out a way to get that, but yeah, thankfully now it's a bit easier when you start to to actually get equipment. Because it's not like you can just buy a skeleton sled anywhere either.
Yeah, you're
It
not
is
going
a
to Canadian
process.
Tire, right?
Yeah, even the helmets, like you have to order them like months in advance because there's like two places you can get it, and they're
Yeah.
all in Europe.
Is there a lot of hustle involved, like in those early days of like, are you doing like, crowdfunding and stuff like that? Are you going door to door, you're looking recruit sponsors and stuff?
Yeah, and it's like I will credit a lot of it to my parents because I was pretty young. So my parents financially helped me a lot and helped me like raise a lot of that money. So without them, I would not still be in this sport.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those because it's such a niche sport too, and we don't, as like even from Canadian funding, like we don't get nearly as much as some of the more well-known sports, I
Yeah.
guess we'll say. But
Hockey,
um,
figure skating, right?
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't think any Canadian sports get a ton of funding, but in
Mhm.
comparison,
Yeah.
more than maybe some of the niche sports. But yeah, it's tough to get sponsors in the early days too, just because most people don't know what it is.
Hmm.
It's kind of hard to sell that. Like, well, if you're not on World Cup, the advertising isn't usually like worth it. Like they're more investing in your story. Which then like especially around the time of like COVID,
Hmm.
uh, really tough because everyone's barely hanging on. So it's tough to kind of find that extra money from businesses
Yeah.
that don't have it. So now I'm pretty fortunate, post World Champs to have some great sponsors, but it's pretty tough for anyone in the early days. No one knows what skeleton is.
Yeah. Well, this is why
Yeah.
you need to take them to win sport. You need to just try
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
just
Here.
or watch the video. My parents have a great video to show you.
Yeah, don't you want to do this?
Yeah,
As I'm on my
exactly.
back. Yeah.
So you did win the world championship the first year, and you've competed in other world championships since then. I mean, you didn't finish on the podium the second time around, but when you look at your results, I mean, it was on par with what you were looking at those first world championships. I mean, is that kind of the silver lining? Are you still thinking like I'm at the age of 20 or whatever, I'm way ahead of the game for where I thought I was going to be? What was that second world championships like for both your expectations and then what your thoughts were after the performance?
Yeah, that one was actually my third world championship. So I had medaled or like won this my second one.
Mm,
And then yeah, that following world championships, like I said, I had a lot going on the rest of that year. Um, Post world championships, I guess there was a lot to live up to with kind of that pressure, more so that I put on myself that
mm.
came with like winning a title. I did it fairly early in my career, so I feel like I jumped a bunch of steps. I was like, it was really hard to navigate kind of where to go from there. Um, but my main goal was really to just kind of find that same like fire and motivation in me that I had that previous World Championships. Because it had kind of been missing for most of the World Cups last year, just kind of fell out of love with the sport for a
Mm.
bit. Junior World Championships that week, like even excluding winning, winning is fun. But outside of that, the week was also really fun. And I kind of started to get that joy back. And then we had like a month of training. So by the time World Championships came around, I was genuinely enjoying the sport again. And really for me, that was like the biggest win. I don't think it was my best race in terms of, my focus or my lines or whatever that is. But considering everything that happened that year and kind of where I was at race day, I I feel like I did pretty well and I was able to kind of walk away with that being like, okay, I feel like I'm in a really good place for Olympic year, which was ultimately always the goal anyway, just to kind of like develop so that I could set myself up best for Olympic year. I just happened to have a really exciting moment halfway through the quad. But yeah, I feel like I'm set up really well for next year, which even though I would have loved to have been on the podium again, and I was really close,
Yeah.
I can't be mad at it.
Yeah. And I guess there is that probably that thought that was like last year, if I wanted to finish in top eight, and then what was it, seventh place the second time? So it's like you're still moving up from where your expectations were. And again, at your age, you still have so many more years to continue in the sport and everything. I mean, when you're looking forward to Milan now, I mean, do you even bother to put an expectation on it? I mean, you don't have to say what it is, but are you thinking in your head, hey, if I'm not going to medal, I still want to be in this position?
Um, I don't think that I've thought about like positions as much. Like obviously, like I said, every race you go into, you want to win. But I've never experienced like a brand new Olympic track. So
Yeah.
I've never been anywhere that like no one's been and we're kind of trying to figure it out from scratch. And I know that the Olympic environment then also becomes like so much more than any other environment I'm used to. Just the world is actually watching. It's like the one time every 4 years people know what skeleton
Yeah.
is. Um, so I'm trying not to put expectations on myself because I know that there's going to be so much that I've never experienced before that I'm going to be navigating for the first time. I know what I would like to do, but realistically, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what is realistic. So I'm trying not to have hard expectations for
Yeah.
myself.
Well, and mentioning the new track, I mean, that was actually the next thing I was going to ask about because we went back. If we've been talking to you a year ago, it's like, are you familiar with Lake Placid? But now,
Yeah.
now it looks like it's a thing. And I know that they ran like what a trial run a couple of months ago. Did you get to be part of that? I mean, have you been able to be on the course?
No, I haven't. So they kind of, as from what I understand, they randomly select people to go test out the track. And they did that, I think it was end of March, beginning of April.
Hmm.
Um, and I know that the Italian team is on it right now. So like we've heard some bits and pieces of what it's like, but I haven't actually gotten to experience that yet. But the first World Cup this year is in Cortina. So we'll be
Oh,
there for I think 3 weeks in total for the international testing weeks too.
so you will get a chance at least to familiarize. So
Yeah.
is it
Yeah.
like Cool Runnings at all, where you're like you got to memorize those turns and you're sitting in the bathtub, left turn here, anything like that?
I mean, I'm not sitting in a bathtub when I do it. Um, no, so it's yeah, we call it POV videos, like the point of view videos, that most people do with a GoPro, and you can find them on YouTube. And a lot of times, like regardless of the track, I know Cortina does have one now. I think one of the Italians went down with a GoPro, but we watch the POV videos just to like kind of understands where we're going to be, like what corner is what. And then normally you kind of have an idea of what the steers are for those corners. So kind of as you're watching it, you can like practice so that when you actually get on the track, you're not going to hurt yourself
Hmm.
because you've prepared. But for Cortina, we have a POV video and we don't have like any knowledge of how to steer each corner.
Yeah.
So you get there and you're kind of just there analyzing the track and then it's just trial and error for like 3 weeks. Yeah.
I,
So I've never experienced that, so we'll find out.
yeah. I mean, Milan, you still got a couple of months to prepare for it. You got lots of YouTube videos you can cram in between now and then. Getting a chance to go on it's obviously better than nothing. I mean, do you have a favorite course right now from the ones is it Winterberg just because that's where you won the world championship?
I actually don't think so. I do love that track. Um, Not the most exciting of tracks, though.
Mm.
I actually think my favorite track is Beijing. I really
Oh,
liked that track. The way that I explain it is like the closest to the feeling of a water slide I think that we can get because you're still going pretty high up in corners, but there's not a lot of pressure or like G-force on you. So if you wanted to, you could lift your full chest up and like look around. You wouldn't want to, but you could. So it just like when you get it right, it just kind of feels like a water slide. And I don't think a lot of places feel like that because the G-force is so strong, your head is like dragging on the ice.
Are there alternate ways of training during like the summer months and everything? Because I know like freestyle skiing, they're going to use water skiing and stuff like that to
Hmm.
train during the summer. I mean, do you just say we're going to go to a water slide park and this is how you're actually just going to keep that same feel for what it's like going down the track?
I should propose that. I
Oh yeah, for
should
sure.
propose
What
for
better
us to
way
do
to
a team
train?
trip. Yeah. Yeah. No, there's unfortunately not, but we do like we push in the ice house because Calgary has like kind of that push start
Mm.
with ice, which there's not too many in the world that they have a lot of rolly tracks like on wheels for people, but they don't have a lot on ice, so we are pretty lucky to have that. That's really the only way like sport specific that we train in the off season. And I'm sure that other countries probably have other ways of like simulating that, but
Mhm.
there's nothing that Canada does right now.
Do you train out of Calgary or do you train closer to home?
I train out of Calgary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just because the ice house is there. My coach is there, so for like strength and conditioning purposes, it just makes sense.
Hmm.
I also really like Calgary,
Yeah.
but I go back and forth to see my family, and then most of my time is in Calgary when I'm in Canada.
How many months of the year do you have to spend, if you combine the training and the World Cup season that you have to spend, doing all this travel?
Um, hmm. So 6 months of the year is pretty much in Calgary with like a few times to Ontario to see family. And then outside of that, it's pretty much 6 months that I'm traveling, like to actually race and train. Because there's only so many tracks in
Yeah.
the world. There's only one in Canada in Whistler. So like you're still traveling out to that even on a home track. But yeah, this year, like I leave tomorrow and I won't be back in Canada at all until like mid-January,
Wow.
end of January. Yeah. Yeah,
Well, put in
it's a
perspective, we're
long time.
recording this and it's like mid-October right now. So that's a
Yeah.
long trip. Um, do you have like during those 6 months, you put in, okay, I got to go to the gym this many times a week or something like that? Or you literally say, I'm going to give myself, a month to do absolutely nothing?
Oh, when I come home,
Yeah.
at the end of the season, I normally take because even when I come back in January, hopefully like in another week and a half, I'll be in Cortina, and then we still have nationals in Whistler in March. So I don't really let myself like fully do nothing
Hmm.
because I'll probably hurt myself when I go back.
Yeah.
As much as I'd like to just kind of be a couch potato. But
Yeah.
I normally give myself April off, which some athletes don't even take that long off, but I normally take a whole month and my body needs it. Like it'll take 2 weeks before things stop hurting
Hmm.
and I actually feel normal again. And then as soon as you get back into lifting and sprinting, your body hurts again. But it's a really nice month.
You have like a plan of like this is a 10 season TV show I'm gonna binge while I'm recovering or something like that?
Um, sometimes. So it really depends. I really enjoy just like not having a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. After you do go kind of stir crazy because you get so used to like even racing, like you're up pretty early most times racing or traveling, or like you don't have a lot of downtime in the season. So it's really nice at first to just do absolutely nothing and have no plan. And then
Don't set an
after that,
alarm
like,
for
yeah, oh,
yes.
100%. Yeah, the majority of my time is spent sleeping. But yeah, that first, like after that first little bit, then you're like, I'm so bored.
Yeah.
What is this?
I've done where I've taken vacations. Well, first, a couple of years ago when I finished school, I'm like, you know what? I've got a week off. I'm literally just going to spend the whole week doing absolutely nothing. And then I'm like, oh, this is going to become like, every couple months I'll take a week off vacation and do absolutely nothing. And it only took a couple of vacations like that before I'm like, I really want to plan something now. Like this is too much for me.
There's like so much time and stuff
Yeah.
to fill. You're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have a final set of 10 questions to get you. Just before we get to that, though, I mean, uh, everything has really happened very fast for you, in this sport and what you've achieved in such a short period of time. And I think also just if you want to call it luxury or a curse, that it all has happened this close to an Olympic year coming up and everything. I mean, was there like a big rush of like media attention, fan attention, stuff like that, getting stopped when you're going to the grocery store or anything like that, that was a little bit overwhelming? Because it literally was all, if there could be like an overnight sensation in Canadian winter sports, you might be the closest we've come to it.
Um, I think at first, so people still don't really know what skeleton is. I think more in like my hometown, kind of like where my parents grew up and everything. I would say I get like recognized more.
Mm.
But I also do a lot of like school visits and stuff. So a lot of it is from kids that are like, you came to my school. And I'm like, oh, hi. Yeah, I think in general, no, most people have no idea what skeleton is still, so I can still fly under the radar, which is nice. When I did first win though in Germany, like skeleton and sliding sports in general is like our hockey.
Hmm.
So it was a lot bigger and I was getting stopped on the street to like get pictures and sign stuff, and which is wild because for
Yeah.
that again, like I was already in shock that it had happened, and then for that to happen too, I honestly felt like I was in a dream. I was like, none of this feels real. This is insane. Um, yeah, no, but I think more media attention for sure. Um, I've I got really used to doing interviews after that because I hadn't done a ton of interviews before. And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden, like those first 3, 4 weeks after I had won, almost every day there seemed to be some type of an interview or some social media thing or like something. And I was like, ah, no.
Every Canadian, when they're appearing on CBC for the first time, that's gonna be, whoa, like, how is this possible? Am I dreaming right now?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think I was still in Germany. And my papa was watching the news. And obviously, like he watches my races, but all of a sudden, like I came up as one of the news stories and he's like trying to figure out on his phone like to record it.
Yeah.
Like this is crazy. And I'm like, I know. But when it first happened, I had no idea that it had gotten so big at home because I was still over there and I was still racing.
Yeah.
Like I I didn't know, and then my dad was sending me screenshots and like videos of stuff, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
so people do know what skeleton is at the moment.
It's a lot of the people like me who waited about a decade for that next Jeff Payne, Melissa Hollingsworth, John Montgomery, and it's like, oh, we got one now. You do school appearances. If you ever make your way to Winnipeg, my kid's school, I will set it up,
Okay.
myself. I got
Sold.
one in the
Yeah.
fourth grade. I got twins in the first grade. You could do both
Aw.
classes. You could do the whole school, whatever. It'll be more for my enjoyment. I'll be the one asking all the questions, and then the quiet kids. I have more questions for Hallie here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just you in the back.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get into our final set of 10 questions here. I did let you know beforehand, if there's one of these where you need some time to think about it. It's not like Jeopardy, we're not going to buzz you out or
Okay.
anything like that. So you could come back to it or say you have no answer, skip it or anything. Starting off with the first one here. What's the one thing you never leave home without when you travel to a competition?
I wear the same pair of socks for race day.
Oh,
Every race
nice.
day. I had them before. I got them with the teammate before my first World Cup. They're Lululemon. They're like the rainbow pride socks. They have holes in them that I've like well, not me. My mom has patched up. Um, but yeah, it's just race routine now. So I never leave home without them.
That's the one perk about being able to be an Olympian is that you get the Lululemon gear, which nobody who's not an Olympian is going to be able to afford. I've seen like two people ever walking the street with like the Lululemon jackets and stuff like
Yeah.
that because nobody's going to be able to afford it. I went to the Lululemon store during the last two Olympics or whatever, and it's like, oh, socks. $60, so
Yeah. I
and
will say they're so nice, but yeah, they are expensive.
yeah, you're gonna have some good gear in a couple months.
Yeah.
Second one, what's a tradition or superstition you follow before every big competition? Is it patch up the socks? I mean, is there something
The
else?
socks. Yeah, I was gonna say it really is the socks. Yeah, I think I try not to be too superstitious. My mom is like the most superstitious person I've ever met. Like if during World Champs, the first day went well, so she had to wear the exact same thing for day two. She had to stand in the exact same place, and I'm like, Mom, keep this to yourself because I can't, like, this can't get in my head. This is not why it's gonna go south. So I try really hard not to be, but mainly because I know the extent it can go to.
You have like the kids who are in sports or the moms are like, or on picture day licking their hand or whatever to wipe your face. Her equivalency, you got a hair out of place that wasn't out of place on the last run. Let me
Yeah.
just adjust this for you here.
Yeah.
What's a song that's on every one of your pre-competition playlists, no matter what? Do you have a pre-competition playlist? And is there any song where you're like, this has always got to be on there?
Um, For some reason, Vegas by Doja Cat,
No.
from like the Elvis movie, for
Yeah.
some reason that like gets me in the zone. It feels like a very main character energy song to me. And I think that's been on pretty much since it came out. That's been on my playlist.
This question is how I build playlists for, different races and stuff.
Can you release that though? Because I would love to hear the full like everyone you've interviewed
Yeah,
competition
we should
playlist.
do that. We should put together the
Yeah.
off the podium playlist or whatever.
Yeah.
That's a really good. We'll do that before Milan.
Perfect.
What is the most unexpected or funny DM you've ever gotten as an Olympian?
Um,
And was it from John Montgomery?
I did get a DM from John Montgomery. It was
Yeah.
very nice though. It was not weird. It was very nice. Oh, I'm trying to think of what the weirdest one is. I got one not too long ago. So I've recently been getting hate comments, which I was
Oh,
very excited about actually because it meant I made it. My videos were reaching audiences that didn't care about it, so I was pretty excited. Um, but I got a really funny one that was like, all you do is lie down and let gravity do the heavy lifting. Um, and he's like, wow, so athletic. And then he like quoted one of my like sponsorship videos where it was like oranges are my superfood, and then he put like the okay emoji hero. And I was like, thanks. So nice. And then someone responded to that, like trying to be nice. And they were like, yeah, I tried it when I was in Whistler once, which means I went from like corner 11 out of 16. They were like, and I didn't think it was that hard to learn, but like love watching you. And I was like, well, that's a bit of a backhanded compliment, but thank you.
Yeah, you might be the first person we've ever had who says they're excited to get like the angry, hateful people on the internet. But I guess in a way that means you made it, right?
Right? That's why I'm like, you know what? I'm doing okay.
Uh,
Yeah.
I have to join here because when we did have John Montgomery a couple years ago, I we weren't even doing it on video. I think he couldn't get his working, so I was just talking on his phone. But I told him like I got this painting of you right here, and he said, "Oh, send me a picture of that." And he had told me that like at an auction he was at, Doug Gilmore, who was like his favorite hockey player, who was my favorite hockey player growing up, had basically purchased like somebody sculpted John Montgomery from when he had his victory celebration. I'll throw the picture here in the chat here.
Oh my God,
You can probably
please.
see it. Oh, it won't let me send it. I'll take a
That's
screenshot and
okay.
I'll send it to
Yeah,
you.
please. I would love
But
to see that.
I sent this to him and it was like 6 months later and he never responded. Then one day out of the blue, John Montgomery emails me and says, "Hey, I finally found this thing in my attic and I thought I'd send you the picture of it." So somebody ever
That's
builds
great.
a sculpture of you for when you're in Milan, then we need to see that as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to see that. I'll make sure I send that over.
Yeah. This one's a fun one. So, what is the weirdest thing you've ever eaten at an international competition? And did you like it? You know, you're traveling around the world. There's got to be some foods like, I've never heard of this before.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel when we were in Asia, like we were in South Korea and China, and I'm not convinced I knew the majority of the food I was eating. I think the weirdest one. What was it? Oh, I remember in China, so I also think that the translations on some of, like, it was buffet style, and
Mhm.
I think that some of the translations weren't exactly correct for a lot of it, which could have been why this led to so much confusion and like awe. We ate dragonfish, which we
Oh,
had to look up. I'm not sure. There's like two different types of dragonfish. There's one that looks like normal fish and one that looks crazy. So we went with the crazy one. We were like, this is what it is. But I think dragonfish was probably the weirdest. But like we saw when we were in Beijing, like walking in some of the markets, and we saw some of like the all the bugs and stuff on sticks that they
yeah.
fry and all the I didn't try those though. I was not adventurous enough to try those.
I did find that John Montgomery picture. I just
Did
sent it
you?
to you here. So, literally behind a glass case. I don't know how he misplaced this in his attic.
Yeah, that's amazing. That would be like on my mantle. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
exactly.
Oh my God.
Just to let you know, Noah Groves did live in Korea for several years. He actually just
Okay.
moved away from Korea, so he's probably familiar with that. And one day, you know, he can tell you about the less scary meals that you can get in Korea. We're gonna make Noah Groves a permanent fixture on
Noah
this show
Groves.
here.
That's where I got my Noah Groves
Yeah,
bag.
exactly. Had some good dragonfish. Got my Noah Groves
Yeah.
bag. The flip side of that. What is your ultimate guilty pleasure meal after a big competition? So this is your choice. What you eat when you're done.
So I'm a really big fan of McFlurries. Um, the healthiest? No. But I am lactose intolerant and I can actually
Oh,
eat McFlurries. So it is I get them all the time and it's like a running joke on our team now. But I love them. They're so good. And sometimes when you're traveling, you can get different kinds or you can customize them, which I didn't know. I found that
mhm.
out last year. So I put fudge on it too. It's amazing.
Oh, I didn't know you could customize it. I mean,
Yeah, I didn't either.
I'm not lactose intolerant, but I've definitely had times where I've had McFlurry. I'm like, am I lactose intolerant? This isn't sitting so well.
Yeah, that's why it's a special occasion thing now. I used to eat them way more and wondered why I didn't feel good.
Yeah. I have to ask, this is adjacent to McFlurries, but the Shamrock milkshake from McDonald's, are you a fan? Have you ever had it?
I've never had it, but I really don't like mint.
Yeah.
I despise mint flavored things, so I haven't tried it.
Oh, okay. I've
I
had it.
can't.
If they have like a new milkshake or something like that, my wife will sometimes be like, "Oh, do you want me to pick this up?" I'm like, Sure, I'll try it." I tried the Shamrock one once, and I'm like, "Yeah, it was all right." She's like, "You want me to get another one next time?" No, I'm good. That's
No.
okay.
Have you tried? There was one last year. I think my teammate tried it. The like whatever the purple one was.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, I don't think anybody knew because they didn't identify what the flavor was. Yeah, and she's like, what does it taste like? I don't know, like purple? What does purple taste
Well,
like?
yeah. I was gonna say I that didn't really get a lot of like not even good or bad reviews, just not a lot of reviews because they
Yeah.
didn't know what to say about it. That's
And
okay.
when I did have it, I'm like, I don't know what I'm eating right now. Like it tastes okay.
Yeah.
It's got sweetness to it. So which fruits are sweet? I don't know. Let me narrow this down.
It's so lovely.
And they've never brought it back yet, though.
No,
So
I'll
we'll
stick to
see.
my McFlurries.
Yeah, exactly. If you could swap sports for a day with another Olympian, which event would you choose, and how do you think you do?
Before I started skeleton, I always wanted to try speed skating because I grew up as a figure skater.
Mhm.
So I was like, oh, like I might be able to transition into this, but I never got around to try. I think I did kind of equivalent to whatever the learn to push
Yeah.
would be. Like very briefly tried it, but never really got a chance to actually do it. Um, I think that's what I would wanna trade. I think both short track and long track would be fun. I'm not an endurance person though. I run 30 meters, so maybe short track. But I think that that'd be really cool.
We've pretty much narrowed down though that like your goal was not necessarily anything on ice or anything Olympics. It was just speed. Figure skating was too slow for you, so you want something with speed, right?
Yeah, I was always the kid that like when we rode our bikes, anything downhill, I was the one that like wasn't touching the brakes and was like, "This is awesome." The parents' like worst nightmare.
That's what your parents started taking the videos just to document. Is like this is what you did and this is what you
Yeah.
survived.
No, actually, yeah. I would be the one building jumps. Like when we went sledding as a kid, I
Yeah.
was the one that would like build the snow mounds like halfway down the
Oh
hill,
yeah.
have jumps. Like the it
Uh,
was inevitable I was gonna end up in this.
the main reason my wife won't watch Skeleton or Luge or stuff like that is because when we were tobogganing once years ago, she said, I'm not going to go down. And then she went down, but she specifically aimed for one of the jumps and then she broke her tailbone. So
Oh, that would hurt.
it took a lot even to get her to allow me to take our kids on a toboggan, you know? So, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a challenge to get her to
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
This is our most fun question. So we'll say we do release graphics of this. We do come up with
Okay.
posters. So if your Olympic journey were a movie, what would the title be? And if you could think of somebody, who would play you?
Oh. So I haven't ever thought about what the title of the movie would be. I did talk about with a previous teammate who would play me in a movie of myself, and we came to the conclusion I think Haley Steinfeld, but
Oh,
mainly because one, I love her, but two, apparently because she has dark hair. So my teammate at the time was like, "It's close enough in age," and I was like, "Okay," but would not be mad about that. I don't know. Do you have any ideas for the name of the movie?
it's got to involve speed.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I don't even know.
We will generate a couple, and then we'll come
Yeah.
back to that.
Yeah. I know I'm trying. I'm like, I have no idea.
When we get it
That's
tied,
a good
you'll
one
see
though.
the poster when this episode goes up, and then that's when
Okay,
you'll be like, oh
it'll
no,
be a surprise. Yeah. I'm like, maybe I'll send you some ideas after this.
I have to ask, did you see Sinners?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Watch Sinners because
Okay.
I'm not like somebody who follows Haley Steinfeld or anything, right? Like okay, I've seen her in a couple things. Seems okay. The movie Sinners, like unbelievable. Like
Is
halfway
it?
through that
Okay.
movie, I'm like, wow, give this girl the Oscar. Like
Yeah. No, she's
it is
so good.
extreme. She is like very
Yeah.
extreme in that movie. What is one question you're tired of being asked, and what's the one that you wish people would ask instead?
I'm tired of being asked, do you just lie there? And because like obviously not. I thought that was self-explanatory, but I wish that people would ask, how do you steer? Because it's a very fun answer. It's head, shoulders, knees, and toes, like the song, is how you steer. Yeah, people think that you just lie there, and you're like, well, if you just slide there, don't you think that more people would do this? Also, have you never seen a crash? How does this happen if you just lie there? Yeah, it's like steering. even at like a millisecond at the wrong time or in the wrong place is you can be on your back like or seriously injured and people are like no like I said the comment
Yeah.
gravity does the heavy lifting and you're like kind of like I do a big part of it
I
but
always kind of envision it's like you just have to shift your body weight a little bit. But I mean, you guess you are having to like, okay, you got to shift your body weight in just this one part, right?
yeah, otherwise you end up moving the sled more than you want to. So like even a little head movement can completely like
Yeah.
ruin your line and cost you a lot of time. But yeah, it's really the inputs into the sled because like your shoulders, like you just it's just like little like you press down. If you want to do like a big steer, maybe you're using a toe kind of as that anchor point to
Mhm.
turn the sled, but yeah, no, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And it's not usually very hard steers. It's just very precise of when you do them.
Can we make that the title of your movie, Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes? Because that's the perfect way to describe skeleton.
Sure.
There we go. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. The Hallie Clarke
Oh my
story.
God.
Uh,
Headliner. Haley
um,
Steinfeld.
what's one lesson you've learned from losing that you think has shaped you more than winning? This is our last question, and this is a
Mm.
big one. This is advice for any future Hallie Clarks out there.
Um, I think the best advice I could give or that was given to me about like my bad races was losing. Oh, how did they phrase it? Sorry, there was a really great quote that I was told. Apparently not good enough for me to remember. Oh no. It was, yeah, you learn more from losing than you do from winning, which
Mm,
is really a win in itself. So I think not being threatened by bad results,
yeah.
and really the biggest thing for me was like letting go of that fear of judgment because I thought everyone was like focusing on how bad I did in a race and like how like low my position was in the standings. And meanwhile, like I'm getting texts from back home of how excited everyone was to watch me and like all these positive things that
Hmm.
I'm like, oh, they're not focusing on everything I did wrong.
Yeah.
Um, so it's really getting out of your own head and kind of just learning from it. You really do learn a lot from it. So if you're just focused on, how awful it went in that like negative mindset, then you're not going to be able to get as much out of it and probably not be as successful the next time around.
And so much more inspirational than, don't just lie there and let gravity do the work for you, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you
Best
get
advice to
it.
compete the worst advice. Hallie, it's been a blast talking to you. I mean, this is such a fun sport. I mean, I look forward to seeing skeleton any chance I can. I know we're going to be watching you in a couple months. You'll be part of Team Off the Podium. So what we do is we put the tally of medalists that have been on our show to see where we compete against it. I mean, I have a feeling we're going to be
Cool.
up there on the medal tally board, competing with the biggest nations, thanks to you and some of the other athletes. But good luck in the next couple months, and look forward to that McFlurry. And make sure we get a nice shot of Noah Groves when you're entering
Yes,
the venue.
I will make sure that I send you a picture to use them.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much.